Well, I think they're both kind of circular because I think what I've seen is like the less people care about money, the more of it they sometimes make.
Yeah.
But it just really doesn't matter because the interesting thing is, when I was a child, I grew up in Canada, and we had this really cool coin called a toonie. It was a $2 coin. And I thought those coins were so cool. And so I set up this lemonade stand to try to earn toonies, not because I wanted money, but because I liked those coins. And then over time, like money means a different thing at different kind of scales of money. So for example, toonies are cool to a 7-year-old. If you make enough money to, move out of your parents' house and start to pay for your own food, that's another, big major feeling of kind of self-accomplishment. And then when you start to make enough to maybe support a family and get a house, and there's a few major purchases everyone wants to make, like a house or a car, and that's a whole, a next level of money. But then I think at a certain level, when you start to think about, making hundreds of thousands of dollars versus, making millions or hundreds of millions or billions, that money is no longer used for the same things. And suddenly that money becomes useful for creating companies or creating a change in the world that you as an individual might believe in, to kind of better society. And I think that's kind of the interesting thing about capitalism is it allows us to it acts as a voting mechanism at a certain scale, which not only is voting on behalf of the individual, but is also voting based on, for them to have accrued that capital to begin with, they would have had to have produced something that the public did want originally. So it's this kind of nice alignment thing where the only way to accrue more capital is to make something that people value. And that's a really cool mechanism that results in, I think, a really relatively optimal situation for society. Now, is there corruption? Are there problems in this structure? Absolutely, but it does have a lot of cool aspects to it that work quite well.